Hi everyone, my presentation is on unconscious bias and its impact on performance appraisals. So let's get into what unconscious bias actually is. It's implicit bias. It's the unintentional attitude or stereotypes that influence our understanding, even if we don't realize it. This can be in regards to things like age, gender, disabilities, anything like that. Even if you don't realize it, you might have bias towards certain things. So it matters for a couple reasons. Obviously, it undermines fairness in the workplace. It leads to discrimination, erodes trust and morale in management, and impacts organizational performance. Alright, now my interviewee, her name is Nissa Payne. She was a satellite telecommunications technical supervisor. She conducted these performance appraisals and evaluations for about 3 years where she worked in the position. She said she no longer works there, and she's about the same age as me. So when she was working in this position, she was probably about 22 or 21. And like I said, the corporation that she worked for is Rome Research Corporation. She said she had probably about 5 employees to conduct performance evaluations on. So I'll give you a little bit of background information about what kind of questions I asked them, and then these are pretty much about their answers. So this is in regards to the steps they take to reduce unconscious bias when evaluating employees. And then I asked if they use any tools during their evaluations to help prevent this. So she said she used structured forms with clear criteria. And she said that the employees under her were given these forms ahead of time to know what kind of criteria they're going to be evaluated on. So it's not a surprise. They would focus on outcomes in relation to predetermined goals. So these goals would stay consistent throughout the year. They would always have these on hand, and using these set forms helped her to stay on track and not involve any other factors that shouldn't be involved. So she would compare those goals, and they would be consistent throughout the team. So everyone's graded fairly, everyone's graded using the same criteria. This one, I asked if there's any types of bias they're particularly aware of. She let me know that age is one part. Like I said, she's about the same age I am. Some younger people think that older people in roles might not do as well, or they've been there too long, or things like that. So she would really check her own assumptions about age when she would do these evaluations. Because she said she did have a few people that were in their 60s or so, or 50s, have been in the workplace for 15-20 years. So obviously she doesn't want to focus on tenure. She wants to focus on work performance only. Doesn't matter if they've been there however long, they're still going to get graded the same as everyone else. This one was about how she ensures she's giving balanced feedback. She let me know that she kept notes throughout the entire year. Every single month was consistent. It was graded exactly the same. Criteria wasn't changed month to month. That way she could easily track accomplishments and any incidents that happened under her watch. She did not rely on memory. Relying on memory is an easy way to involve this unconscious bias. You might not be able to remember things exactly how they happened. If you write them down, you'll know that they actually happened that way. She would also get together with a group of other managers so that they can align on ratings and expectations. Just another check to make sure that factors that shouldn't be involved aren't being involved. So this is a bit about situations where her employees didn't exactly agree with the performance appraisals that they were given, and they said that it seemed a bit biased. First thing she would do is listen, remain calm, and gather more details about the situation. Why do they think that it was biased? She might adjust the review if the claims are valid only. You don't want to just go adjusting them because someone got mad that they were evaluated poorly. If it's actually true and documented, then there's no reason to adjust it. Now, if there is bias involved, you might want to take a second look at it. And lastly, she wants to ensure that everyone feels heard and valued, and she did that by just hearing everyone out. Let them talk first. Alright, training. Asked if they received any formal training in recognizing unconscious biases in the workforce. She said she did. It left her more intentional about using all the tools she had. And again, it helped her avoid going off personal opinions that were derived from workplace interactions. She said if she met someone in the office and was having a good talk with them, maybe it was a poor interaction as well, she would not involve that in any evaluations. She doesn't want to go off personality. She just wants to go off performance. So, tying this all back to our readings and what we're learning this module, the big connection here, the first one, is the recency effect. So basically, if things occurred recently, they're more likely, or whoever's doing the performance evaluation is more likely to give greater importance towards things that happen. So if something happened a day before the performance appraisal, then a manager might take that into consideration over your performance the entire year. So that's not really fair to grade someone on what happened once, maybe the same day, day before, a month, even 3 months before. You want to go from the whole year to give it a holistic approach, make sure nobody's being graded unfairly. So our interviewee here says she attempts to mitigate the effect by tracking throughout the entire year. So exactly one of the main ways to reduce the recency effect is what she did. Again, avoiding relying on memory. Document everything. Memory is not a reliable way to grade anyone on, and it leads to bias. I found a pretty interesting survey by Bruce et al. 2016. I'll go back to the reference here in a minute. But they found that in a survey of supervisors, 63.8% identified the recency effect as one of the top 3 most common evaluation errors. That is way more, that's more than half. So that is extremely crazy to think about, that all of these managers said that they would use, or they have used, or they think it's one of the biggest errors, whether they used it or someone else did, the most recent events to evaluate employees over what they did the entire year. So that's an interesting study there. So the next connection is the halo and horn effect. Basically, that one trait, positive or negative, influences overall judgment of the person. So obviously the positive in this situation is the halo, the negative is the horn. So this is basically going off of personality. So going off of personality is extremely biased. It's not a good way to evaluate anyone. Someone who's outgoing and the manager maybe prefers outgoing people, they might base their evaluation on that, and then the more introverted person gets a lower score, and that's not fair if the performance is there. If the introverted person is a really good performer, but they just don't have the personality that the manager likes, then the evaluation is completely biased. So this reference states that both effects stem from assimilated impressions, especially when raters lack criteria or unambiguous evidence. So this right here states that basically when raters don't have that clear criteria that our interviewee did, then this can often creep in and they can rely on personality traits instead of solid facts, like did they perform well? And if you have a structured sheet that everyone uses, that's a lot better and can try to mitigate this effect from happening. The interviewee ensures that they have solid criteria to base performance on. Here's the references if you want to view any of the studies.